Arcata is grappling with a chicken and egg conundrum. To accommodate population growth, city officials are soliciting public feedback on what size apartment buildings to permit. Staff will then analyze whether city infrastructure can accommodate that future construction. But critics say the city should first analyze the infrastructure to inform the vision for building heights.
The majority of our constituents are terrified that this project is going to ruin the city that they love so much.
The project, or more accurately, the Gateway Plan, would rezone 138 downtown acres west of the plaza. Private developers could then build up to 5 stories here at 10th and O, 7 stories on 12th Street north of M, and up to 8 stories south of the Creamery building in the so-called Barrel District.
Is it a safe location to build? As far as the grand jury report on the sea rises, it specifically said that the bay is sinking, and it also had issue with large buildings being built on wetland areas, which the Barrel District is a formal wetland area.
Going to 8 stories high, we're not equipped to handle it. The fire department will be put in potential crisis and jeopardy for being able to serve the emergency needs. It seems incomprehensible to me that a recommendation on building height could come out of the Planning Commission or the City Council until we have a full economic analysis of what it's going to cost the City of Arcata citizens and the fire district to actually provide the protection there.
We have had those discussions with Arcata Fire staff since the very beginning. We are just now getting into the development of the EIR and are starting to work through the special studies that are needed to evaluate those environmental effects. There may be a point when those buildings are feasible, cost feasible, and they're being built. And it's also cost feasible and reasonable to have a mitigation measure that says when you build a building over X stories tall, you have to contribute to a fund. And that fund then goes towards, purchasing new equipment for services that can't currently be provided.
It takes a very long time for development. And if you don't get anything in place, then you're not going to be able to even start to find out who can do what or when or how many years it's going to take. I mean, a lot of people want to have all the soils figured out before you do it. You can't do that. Every soil is different. And when you go to start building or thinking about it, that's when you're going to start your process. Change is one of the hardest things we can possibly have in our life. But if we're going to continue to be a community that people like, we're going to have to change.
On August 23rd, for the first time, the ultimate decision makers revealed how much change they envision. Assuming stepbacks on the top stories, 6 of 10 city council members and planning commissioners unofficially supported 8-story buildings south of the Creamery. Elsewhere, at least half of the decision makers supported building to that district's proposed maximum of 5, 6, or 7 stories. 3 decision makers supported maintaining the current 4-story cap throughout the Gateway. Proponents say high-rises will alleviate Arcata's housing shortage, save space for parks, and by concentrating the population downtown, will empower residents to walk, bike, and take the bus. They note in exchange for being allowed to build high-rises, the plan would require developers to offer community amenities like potentially wider sidewalks, bike storage, and playgrounds. Critics say high-rise gentrification will exile current Gateway tenants to the city's outskirts, and that population growth could overrun the city's wastewater treatment plant. They say large buildings shade solar panels, create dark and damp wind tunnels for pedestrians, spoil views, and cramp parking. Critics demand lower building heights when the updated Gateway plan is released next month.
And hopefully that disillusioned person will be able to say again, this is the Arcata I know and love. Thank you.
Eric Black, Arcata News, The Gateway.